do it convincingly.
No, not at all.
And here's another thing, man. My man Justin Timberlake. All right, the way he earns more time in this movie, like he has a lot of it from this guy, but there's another point where he gets even more time from these rich folks by gambling. Now, when we see him in early on in the movie, this dude, like I said, he's working in a factory, an old dirty ass jumpsuit. I mean, he's clocking in and out and going home, drinking a beer, filling up on his mom and everything. And then all of a sudden, when he starts to mingle with the rich people, he's James Bond. Yeah. Like he can play, like he sits down to a poker game with this guy, whatever his name is, Walter Weiss, Willy Wonka, whatever his name is, Philip Weiss, and all of a sudden he can play poker like he's in Casino Royale or something. And I'm like, if this son of a bitch was so good at poker and can win money like this, like just thousands and thousands of years of time, why wasn't he gambling like this before?
No shit. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We see poker tournaments all the time on TV where people come from the trailer park and do this shit. You know?
And there's no struggle in that scene with him trying to like even have a poker face or anything. It's just he just looks in there, gives a fucking glance, and he won.
I know that fool is almost like connect four. I win. Bingo. Pretty sneaky, sis. And that fool, and the biggest drawback of this movie that I found unconvincing is that, okay, this guy's in the ghetto. I mean, we're talking about the slums. And this shit is just as clean and nice. Ain't a piece of paper flowing around anywhere. Ain't no graffiti on the wall.
And no black people anywhere.
Well, there's about two, and the same two black people you see walking around the background. And you mentioned this earlier that that's, the place looks unpopulated too.
It completely does, and that's another thing. Like we talked about, it doesn't sell you on this world of the future, because I'm like, okay, obviously people have to die like around 25, 26, just so I guess there won't be any kind of overpopulation. But there's no fucking population to begin with. It's like whatever this fucking brilliant idea was to implement this idea where people died at a certain time, it's already worked. It's as worked as you can. It worked too much, to where you got every scene. You see only about 3 people crossing the street, and you're like, where the fuck is everybody? I mean, really, where the fuck is everybody? And how come? Yeah, and why is this fucking street so goddamn clean? And maybe if they had more time, they have time to get some construction workers to build some shit that looks like it's from the future instead of some fucking warehouse district that they just found just to fucking film a movie.
That's another thing. It doesn't feel futuristic at all.
No.
Nothing. I mean, every now and then they got a car that says, that's that's about it.
And they got a fucking glow-in-the-dark Timex watch, like completely covering the forearm of every person, where I'm like, okay, how much money does that cost to keep that shit lit up like that? And how does that shit work? That's like some hardcore technology.
Yeah, how do
You're born with that shit?
You were born with a neon green stopwatch in your arm, I guess that's futuristic too, but you want your city to look futuristic. It looks like they shot these scenes on one street, mostly during the day, and it's the cleanest part of town they could have shot
man,
it.
They shot that shit on Martin Luther King Boulevard, right over there in the warehouse district where there ain't nobody around there.
Shit, it looks like they shot that. It looked like a place where hipsters take over. If that's the ghetto, the hipsters came in and gentrified that shit a long time ago. And like I said, it's supposed to be slums. There's nothing slummy about it. I know these people are supposed to be young and they're not going to age past 25, but make them, it's not hard to give them like a 5 o'clock shadow or, I don't know, hair all messed up or something. Give them put some gold chains on people or something. I don't know.
And the thing
put jumpsuits on people or something.
The other thing is, okay, like Olivia Wilde, her character is supposed to be like, 50 years old, I think?
Yeah.
Is that what she said? And my problem with some of these characters that are like that is, they don't give you any idea that they're actually 50 years old. They really don't act the age. And I think that's a big problem with the script. Like, especially like the tycoon who has all this time doesn't really necessarily convince me that he's old, just because the way they're kind of underwritten. This dialogue doesn't seem like it's coming from an old person. It seems like it's coming from a person who just fucking stepped off the goddamn high school drama class.
Okay, see, I agree with you completely on that. I think that this movie suffers from only having, first of all, being miscast, because your lead role, Justin Timberlake, he just doesn't seem to fit this role. Like this guy who's on the run, who's tormented by the society and what's happening, who has now all this responsibility and danger that cast upon him because he has to like somehow save the world. It doesn't seem like that.
No.
He seems like a guy who's young and happy-go-lucky through this, even in the most dangerous and urgent parts of the film.
He's smuggling through most of the intense scenes.
Yeah, and then he's casting this relationship with Amanda Seyfried that's not convincing. And then, even bigger than that, I think that if you want to make a movie like this where you have young people who have to like play older people, you need to kind of pull back and center on more stars. I think this movie could have like helped from having a lot more big name actors, because a lot of the people in this movie are either lesser known actors or they seem like extras with a few extra talking parts.
Yeah.
I mean, and when they do that, these kids seem like they seem like they're straight out of a high school play.
Yeah.
Like you have security guards in this movie. You have people who are protecting the tycoon in this film. You have FBI agents, you have police officers, and it doesn't help that all the men in the movie are like real slender or thin and androgynous looking. It's like they look like a bunch of like fucking chicks, man. Like what happened to the real man in this world? We don't have no guys that are like built and big to make us feel like they are authority figures. Like, goddamn, Arnold Schwarzenegger was like Mr. Universe around that time, wasn't he? It's like,
there's no threat. There's no real threat. And the greatest example of that is Cillian Murphy, who seems to be the only one like really trying this movie, where I kind of felt bad for him. I'm like, man, dude, I guess you along with the rest of the cast got really sold on this premise. But when you looked at the script, they really didn't give you anything to do besides chase fucking Justin Timberlake and his girlfriend and point a gun every once in a while and drive a fast car, because he is so one-dimensional that it's sad. But the thing is, he has like backup, where his backup, when these guys are around him and they actually act with him, it's like, these guys don't convince me that they're cops of any kind.
That's what I'm saying.
They remind me like of fucking crosswalking guards that get a position and they really want to act the part, so they puff out their chest a little bit. But I'm sorry, I'm still not convinced you have any kind of real authority at all.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the police in this movie, they don't wear uniforms. It look like they all been shopping at the Gap. It's like
no, they look like they fucking went to Goodwill to try to shop like they were at the Gap, and they just found whatever fucking shit was floating around. Oh, look, a leather jacket. Well,
yeah,
there's only one of them, guys. The rest of you guys can wear. You gonna have to wear something else.
Yeah, it looked like they told the actors, okay, just bring what you got in the closet at home.
Yeah, that's what it
Hey,
like.
kids, you're young in here. Wear something that's all black that says authority, but you don't have to match.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Damn.
It's like a poor man's Goodwill version of the Matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did. I mean, because like fucking Justin Timberlake's running around. Like, first I'm supposed to believe like he's living in the ghetto, and then the motherfucker knows how to dress all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, he's stylish. He's GQ.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny because you had me laughing about this, man. You said that they're living in the slums. There's only one guy that looked like he took it upon himself to try to look poor. The guy from The Big Bang Theory, Johnny Galecki. Mm-hmm. You recognize him if you watch that show. Now, on The Big Bang Theory, he's like clean, he's nerdy, but at least he looks presentable.
Yeah.
In this movie, he looked like he read the script. Now, you were saying it like he read the script and they said, "Oh, this takes place in the ghetto." Well, You know what? I'm gonna grow my beard out a little bit. I'm gonna make my hair real greasy. I'm gonna wear a tank top.
He was the only one who paid attention to the script.
Yeah.
You know what? It's in the ghetto, so I should look the part. I should look like I fucking live in the ghetto. Like, I can't afford fucking a razor blade. And, and the thing is that his character is introduced early in the film when you're thinking, okay, maybe he'll be a big character, and then he is completely just written out of the story. You don't see him ever again.
Yeah.
And I think that's due to the fact that he was like, no, man, I live in the ghetto. This is how I'm supposed to look. No. You got to look like Justin Timberlake over there. Like you're about to go dance and sing. He's like, no, you're not doing justice to the script. All right, you're fired. All right, get the fuck out of here.
Who's that ugly man right there? Get his dirty ass off my set. Wait a minute, I'm playing the part right now.
I'm trying to make good cinema.
Here's up, but I can't. I hate to keep harping on this ghetto, but this is the most unconvincing ghetto I've ever seen in a movie. To the point where the biggest gangster in the movie, for some reason, is a dapper British dude. They don't explain it. Nobody else is British around here. This is supposed to be the ghetto, and he gets out of his car talking about, "Tally ho, people, good day. Give me your time right now.
Give it to me now.
I will shoot you." Yeah.
I'll slap you with my glove. He is the most unthreatening person. Where I'm like, wow. I mean, did anybody bother to read like this guy's like lines and what actually he's here to do?
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, you're not if you're British, you're not threatening unless you're hanging out with Darth Vader. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because any other way, I'm gonna have to have a lot of convincing that you're some kind of threat. But it seems like he was just like, all right, we need like a school bully. Let's just cast this guy.
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to be racist here, but I think that if you're in the ghetto and you got a gangster, I like my old fashioned big black scary gangsters. Some Chicano or Hispanics. I mean,
somebody.
I hate to be that way. I'm not trying to put our people down.
Hey, look, paint that motherfucker. Do something to convince me that he's supposed to be threatening.
I ain't never seen the power. Now I know why we got stereotypes.
There is a reason for it.
Because you put this British dude, I don't know if they're trying to advance or go beyond stereotypes and not be offensive, but when you got goddamn Harry Potter running through the ghetto talking about I'm a gangster, like he just walked out of a Guy Ritchie film, I'm like, no.
You're absolutely right. This is another case when being PC goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Call me racist, but put a big old threatening Negro in there with some gold teeth in there. I'm okay with that. I'll let that slide. Yeah. I'll let that go. The thing I do disagree with you on about people playing certain parts where they're supposed to be older, Olivia Wilde. I mean, today, I'm looking at people who are 50. Olivia Wilde is definitely over 25. And I look at her in the movie, I'm like, I don't know when your clock stopped, but it didn't stop at 25. It stopped somewhere around 30-something. But today, we got 50-year-old women who are kind of sexy and everything. So I'm just like, if they had made her his grandmother or something, I would probably maybe be a little more convinced or unconvinced. But anyway, the way she acted, I don't know what it was. Because she just kind of looked just a little bit older. I'm like, I can buy that.
She was too busy, like,